The Shep Naz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shep Naz Podcast. I'm Joe. I'm your host today for
Worship Wednesday, baby.
That's right. Go. They can't even hear the music and they're still that excited. So
It's in our souls at this
yes.
point, Joe.
Well, welcome in, Pastor Zach and Noah. And today's a little different because we are in the Strawberry Hill Lounge.
Yes. Only the finest of lounges.
Yes.
And the Sugar Shack is across the street.
It's
Sugar.
not even the Sugar Shack.
What's it called?
Hey, sugar.
Hey, sugar.
Hey,
Hey
sugar.
Sugar.
Hey, sugar.
Yes.
Even more descriptive.
It's the cover up.
And to clarify for all that are listening, they sell candy and ice cream.
Yes. We think. We think.
we
That's
think.
Yeah,
what's
we're not 100% sure.
That's what we're telling ourselves. All right, so
We sleep better at night thinking that.
Love it.
so the past couple days we've been talking about M25. The first day we talked about the big plenary sessions, and then yesterday we talked about workshops. Today we thought, of course, since it is Worship Wednesday, and there was a lot of worship that went on.
Indeed.
That we would talk about some of the worship that happened there, and then Pastor Rob asked that we would include some food, which
yeah.
You know,
was
that's our love language.
that was a whole worship experience in and of itself.
Yep.
Native and idolatrous.
My lunch today, I was praising God the whole
Facts.
time.
I felt close to heaven.
That's what White Castle will do for you.
Take
All
the
right.
mic.
All right, so who wants to start? Zach, you want to start?
I would love to
Kinda
start
like
for us. So,
what you saw with worship and all that kind of thing.
yes, so as you know, we've been at M25, and if you don't know what M25 is, it is a big old conference. Big old conference. What did we say?
3,500 people.
3,500 people all gathered.
That's not even a pastoral number. Like
That's-
we
that's a real
calculated.
number.
Yeah, that's not me counting.
We
That's somebody telling
calculated
me that's how many was
that's a
there.
real number.
It's a real number.
I actually thought there was more, but
Yeah.
Yeah, he said 7,000.
I said
There was-
35,000.
35.
You know, pastor count. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the cool thing about conferences like this, and specifically, well, I can't even say that because I think everybody in this room can attest to this. As worship leaders, though, you know, every Sunday we are leading worship. And so we are pouring out worship, and we are essentially, obviously, our focus is always on worshiping the Lord. But as we've talked 1,000 times on the podcast, you almost have to compartmentalize your brain while you're worshiping, because yes, you want to worship authentically or worshiping in spirit and in truth, but you're also leading a congregation, so you got to be paying attention to what's going on in the congregation. You're also leading a band, so you got to pay attention to the band, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. You're leading vocalists, making sure they are doing what they're supposed to do. As we've said, kind of the nerdy stuff, we use tracks, and so we got to make sure that we're staying on our tracks and that those are working properly and everybody's staying on tempo. And so there's a lot of times where our brains are going 1,000 miles a minute, and though we are worshiping, we are still leading people, and that is a form of pouring out. And
Yeah.
so events like this and conferences like this for us as worship leaders, and I know, like, I was thinking about Brett a lot during this time too, is we don't often get to be on the receiving end of worship. And if I can just be utterly transparent, you know, those of us in this room, and I don't know if I mentioned any details on the podcast, but like the Zaborski house had a rough few weeks with housing issues as far as our plumbing goes and sickness going around our family. Like, it was just like every day I woke up, it was like, all right, what am I dealing with today? You know? And
Quite literally.
yeah, what crap is happening today? Unfortunately, pun intended. We had a septic backup, if anybody was wondering. Gross.
Yeah.
Poop.
Yucky. So events like this, and like I was actually talking to my wife on the phone and just kind of sharing what was going on at the conference and explaining some of the worship stuff. And I literally said, I was like, I needed this so bad. And her response was, yes, you did. Like, she knows. That's why I love my wife. She's honest, but she could see that, like, I was just at a place of where I was kind of running on empty, as far as like pouring out goes. I
Well,
was not
and
getting fed.
also we came off of a really busy season with Christmas. That was a massive effort.
Yeah. So it was just
for you guys especially.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of pouring out. And so one of my big takeaways from this weekend, especially, and I think Kevin and I were talking about this at one point, but like being a worship leader, you know, your life is surrounded by worship music. And sometimes you just want to listen to things that aren't worship music. It's like, I want to go when my kids are in the car, turn on my old school metal music and bang my head and just enjoy myself. But I was really convicted this weekend because it's like, yeah, it is your job. But again, if you're not going to a place during the week by yourself, how can you expect to take people there? You can't lead people where you haven't already been.
Right.
And actually there was one of the breakouts that I went to, and I wrote down my notes, but I'm not going to waste anybody's time looking up for it. Something along the lines of like, you can't let your situations be an excuse for procrastination. And not just in your work, but in your spiritual life as well. So that was really impactful for me. And I could say a million things, but Noah, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm a little different just because I'm in a different season of life, just exciting and just experiencing a lot of just freedom and a lot of just joy recently. So to kind of have an opportunity to be in a setting where I don't have responsibility, nothing's really expected of me except to worship and to and if I can be honest, I struggle worshiping and with other bands if I'm honest, because I'm very just judgmental and I have a lot of pride, and I'm like, man, me and Zach could
You can do that. I can play that. Why
like,
do you do this? Why do you do that?
Yeah. So it's like not what I would have done, but all right. It's like
It's true, though.
So-
Man. It's true.
Yeah.
so, but and I even told my fiance going into this, I was just like, I'm already going in just with a clear mind. Just I need to worship, and it was kind of weird because the first night it was I was just like, I haven't had a guitar in my hand worshiping in a long time. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, I forget what to do almost. So it was cool to just like get back to that worship place, especially just with the fun stuff that's been going on recently just in my life and in Johnstown. It was just cool to just worship God
What fun stuff is going on in your life, Zach?
I got a
Huh?
cool toys.
Found his favorite Pokemon card, and he can't wait to share it.
I was trying to tee it up for you. I don't think I was talking about the Pokemon cards.
Oh,
but
really?
all right.
Yes, I'm getting married.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah.
Push boys in.
Yeah, getting married and just some other just cool stuff happening and seeing God move. And but yeah, it's just been cool to, instead of having to be in this like sorrowful moment and be like, God, I need to worship my way out of this. It's like, no, I'm just gonna have joy. It's because
Good.
I know I've been saying a lot, but there's just so much joy. This is the best days.
Best day of your life.
We've
And
seen
those
a lot of those here recently.
This has been a great week for me. It's a
Yeah.
joy. It is a real pleasure and joy. So.
All right. So, any of the Worship Wednesday guests, would you like to chime in on kind of your take on worship experiences?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Just share very similar thoughts of my own, with having no responsibility, just to show up and to be poured into. It's been a long time since that's happened, long time. So it was great to just listen, worship, and a couple of observations. The venue is the Kansas City Convention Center, and it's awesome. It's massive, but it's very. I know without seeing it, I'll try to describe. But
I got some B-roll I'll throw in there.
But just a really cool presentation of the media stuff, and so with the lights, it just really enhanced everything that was going on. And I'll share, I think for several of us, we were a little disappointed because what we didn't hear this whole conference.
Yeah.
Tell 'em.
Not one holiness unto the Lord. So we'll
Are we even Nazarenes, folks?
we'll be talking to someone about that.
I
but
saw a couple people that were looking for it. And they didn't
find
get
it.
They didn't get it.
So yeah, that's just a couple thoughts of mine. So
All right. Anyone else? Yeah, Brett.
Yeah. So I was just saying earlier this evening when we were sitting around just having a good time before we got on the podcast about how much
Before that ruined all the fun.
No, you're the fun continues even.
Yes.
now.
Yes.
I was just sharing about how awesome it was to get to worship with the staff. And I was telling Emma before we came down, I'm like, this is going to be like great because I remember a long time ago when I was just a member of the church and I'd be out there singing songs with everybody else. And I'm like, man, it's going to be so refreshing to do that with people. And I was thinking about like Zach and Noah when I'm like, they are never standing next to me
Right.
while we're singing songs of praise to God. And like, especially not everyone. Like there may be weeks where somebody's down on the floor that isn't usually, but it was really special and something that was really just really awesome to be a part of. And like you were saying, Noah, like we all got a lot of things that we can be thankful for and praise God for, and so it was just really awesome to get the chance to do that together.
Kevin?
One of the things I was looking forward to, I'm not a worship guy. You don't want me.
You do it on occasion though?
I don't know.
occasion.
From what I heard this week, I really think there should be a Rob and Kevin duet.
I'm not sure that
Episode coming soon.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Get back to you. One of the things I was looking forward to, and what I look forward to in going, is the freedom of not having the responsibility when it comes to the worship,
Yes, sir.
and to just engage, and make a joyful noise unto the Lord is true, but when you come to something like this, there's going to be excellence.
Yeah.
And I know we can still worship when things are not quite right, but there's just something, that extra level when there's excellence and when everybody's on the same page. And as a preacher, I get it's hard to go someone else's, I don't know, I wouldn't have done it like that. I do that when people are preaching. But so I enjoy coming and being a part of that and worshiping together. And then being the new kid, I've enjoyed worshiping with all y'all, just being able to be together and enjoy the services together and hear the dialogue and hear you all laugh together and pray together. And I'm very honored. I'm a little verklempt.
Big words on the podcast today.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
was,
word for Worship Wednesday.
Yeah, you're taking it up here. I will give props to that worship team though, because it was cool that they were diverse and singing in Spanish as well.
French tonight.
Was that French?
Yeah, Spanish and French.
So I thought that was really cool that they took the time to practice. It wasn't like they just threw it together. Like they spent the time. So I really appreciated that. That was really cool.
How'd you feel about that? I think this is worth a little bit of chat. Because I think that's something we see more often in a lot of our district events where we'll have some in English, some in Spanish. I think those are probably the two primary. We might see, like tonight, we saw some French. How do you guys, how do you feel when you're worshiping in that environment?
I think it's beautiful. I think there's something really powerful with people. It's just like a picture of heaven, like every tribe, every nation, people from all kinds of different backgrounds that look different, speak different languages, all worshiping the same God. I think I was talking about that. That was something that really moved me when we went to General Assembly, and that's something we got to experience here. So
For me, it's like a tangible reminder, because for us, like, at least for me, I won't project this on everybody, but for me, it's really easy we talk about how big the Nazarene Church is, and like we know it's a global church and we say those things, but when every Sunday, we see the same mostly Caucasian congregation, to me it was a reminder, like, yeah, we say it all the time, but like seeing it and being a part of it, and like I don't speak Spanish, but like
could still sing.
Exactly. And in that moment, it's like it didn't matter because we were worshiping the same God, the same way with just different language. And you could feel that. You could feel that. Like, there's times when they start singing in Spanish, I'm like, I'm going to try to sing along. And like, I botched it. Then I'm freaking out and getting in my own head.
You get that one line like, siempre. Oh, yeah, I got that one. I got that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there was a moment, I couldn't tell you what song it was, but again, just felt like God was like, dude, you don't have to speak in Spanish. You don't speak Spanish. Just worship me. And it was just such a powerful moment because we're all worshiping the same God. And it's cool to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of diversity too represented on the stage. So
yeah, sure.
Not just in the lyrics, but just people from all kinds of different areas. And yeah,
I was jealous that no matter what nationality they were, they could all do Spanish and English. And it like I got to step my game
up.
It's
a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what that sounds like with a Newark accent. I'm kind of curious.
Probably not good.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. You got that one.
Hola. I'll stop.
That would be good. Probably. We're going to get ourselves in
that
trouble.
was my first worship assignment, was singing in a Spanish ministry. So
nice. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how the sausage was made in worship, since we're, we do.
Wait, what? Are we going to food?
This was a good transition, but
sausage,
no.
but
I don't believe I follow.
We're still talking about worship. All right, I'll explain myself.
Okay.
All right. So
remember who you're talking to.
As Kevin mentioned, like, if he's watching somebody preach, he's kind of like thinking how he might preach. And Noah, you had mentioned, like, if I'm a worship leader, I think about how I'm worship leading. For me, like, of course, I have to analyze the tech because, it's like, okay, next week Rob's going to ask us to do this. And so I better take a look at how they did it. And so, like, the first night that we got in a little late on the first night, but we had been traveling all day long, and so when we got there, we were kind of off to the side. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at the rig on how they were doing all that stuff, and to kind of echo one of Kevin's comments, like, I appreciated the excellence at the level that they wanted.
Yep.
They could have tried to do less. And there's oftentimes, like, people will say, well, why did you go to all that trouble? Well, who were we doing it for?
Exactly.
And so, like, there was excellence in everything that was done with the camera work, with the lighting, with the sound, with the videos that were produced. I mean, we had panoramic videos that were 70, 80 feet long, easily, really. Yeah. I mean, and it was just amazing to see. And I can remember, like, just kind of looking out of the side and watching Brett and Kevin trying to take it all in like it was a ping pong match. They kept going back and forth because the screen was so wide, and literally trying to soak it all in. And I was blessed by that. But I also wanted to speak to, like, what we've kind of all referenced is, like, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be in the production. Like, I can tell you there was one time that they had to reboot their media server, and so there was, like, I feel for you. I know what's happening, but
know your pain.
Yeah, but I didn't have to worry about it. Like, I didn't turn around. I know they got it. They'll figure it out. And they did.
You walk back and ask if they need this.
Right. Do you need a hand back there? No, I did not do that. And I wasn't even tempted to do it. But as each of us, who normally have responsibilities during services, being able to participate together and just be participants in the service was a really great opportunity. And it was also a reminder to me, as all of us were there in a line worshiping together, it's like, this is why we all went into what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Because, like, it immediately took me back to, like, Yeah, I can remember at the point where I was like, I got to go do this so that other people can experience this.
Yes.
And I feel like that was a lot of what was rekindled in a lot of us, was that it was like, this experience that I'm having right now is exactly why I wanted to be able to help bring it to someone else.
Yep.
So any other ideas or things that you'd like to share about the worship? I know we need to get on to the other topic.
Yeah, we need to talk about food, but
I'll do one thing before we do the food, and that is that I think that one of the things that I liked most about this was that we could see together what God is doing, not just on Hamilton Road, but it's happening everywhere.
Yep.
And I've been in the church for 40 years or whatever, something like that. But I couldn't be more excited to be a part of what God's doing in the Nazarene Church right now.
Yep.
And our leadership is humble and hungry for a move of God and willing to do it. And I saw this in October when I was out in Colorado at the preaching summit, and that was started there, and I was like, this is good, and then this just continues it. And I just want to say, to those of you who haven't had the opportunity to be a part of that, God's doing something in our church. And I talked to one of the guys seminars I went to is Dave Ferguson, and he mentioned, he goes, man, God's doing something here. He got our denomination grew evangelistically last year, and there aren't any other denominations that are growing evangelistically. They're declining. And he's like, the number of people that got saved in the USA and Canada in the Nazarene Church increased for the first time in decades. And what's happening is God's doing something, and I'm excited that we're seeing that locally, but it's not just locally. It's everywhere, and it's very, very cool to be a part of it. And I think one of the sessions, several of the sessions, they talked about this. The culture that we live in now is just ripe for the Holiness Church to step in and offer what it offers. And we're in good days, man. We're going to see good days, so it's good. But speaking of good days,
We've had several.
we've had some good days.
we
Noah's had
haven't
three
we
of the
haven't
best
been
days of his life.
Yeah, I have never been happier.
we said we haven't been hungry for like 72 hours because we've just been eating. Longer than that.
When we're wrapping up a meal, we're talking about what our next one's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it takes some planning, to do that. So,
Facts.
there's a lot of things about Kansas City I've not been impressed with. A lot.
Yeah, for
About
the
how they
city.
plow their roads.
And
Because
we do think the city looks way better at night than during the day.
Preach.
And
Harder to see.
apparently
things in
they
the
don't
dark.
have snow plows here.
yeah, we saw. What did we see driving down the road? It was
front end loader.
Yes.
It was not a snow plow. It was a bucket truck. And yeah. But
Yeah.
we've had some good food. So it obviously is famous for barbecue. So we went the first night, Jack Stack barbecue.
Yes.
And I could drink the barbecue
You
sauce.
did drink the
there.
barbecue sauce.
It was good. Yeah, Kevin's recommendation. It was excellent. So
I've never seen somebody use so many different forms of getting barbecue out of a small ramekin than I did that night.
I've also
I'm
never
actually-
seen it on coleslaw. That was a first.
Well, I had some coleslaw left and a little bit of barbecue sauce. So I'm like, I wonder if these will go well together. And they did. It was very good.
It was actually very impressive. Very proud.
It was. Thank you. It was good. I'll be buying that Jack Stack barbecue sauce. You can get it on Amazon. I'll be purchasing some. That was good.
I think he's gonna buy stock
Yeah.
Man.
in the barbecue.
Well, we just had the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs. Is
there a pun in there?
It was great. But their offensive line average. They're like 6'5", 6'6", and weighed 345 pounds. It's because they live in Kansas City and eat the barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It's good. So, I missed something here.
He just said they turned into burnt ends or something. Or
Talked about the football.
Yeah, the
They
foot-
said that their ends were burnt too.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were. Yeah. So then we had let's see. Well,
Okay,
we started at Whataburger.
yeah,
Yeah.
Whataburger was where it started.
That was a good start.
And listen,
That was an excellent.
if you, ladies and gentlemen of the listening audience, have never experienced spicy ketchup from
Yes.
Whataburger,
Preach.
Yeah.
do so and let it change your life.
Let the
'Cause it
boy
will.
preach.
It's
We're here to
good.
testify. Yeah.
It's good.
It's beautiful.
It's good. Yep. And then we found a place, a pizza place, so we could come back here really quick and eat and go back, and it was easy to do.
Okay, we need to talk about
Buffalo.
our lunch spot though.
Buffalo State. Buffalo, was it Buffalo?
Buffalo
Buffalo State Pizza,
Pizza
yeah.
Co. Yeah.
It was good.
What was the place called that we had lunch at?
Today was
Not today, but I'm talking about. Hang on, backtrack. Where we walked.
the Tex-Mex Rapid.
Yeah.
Oh,
called
that was
Rapid.
great. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Not only was it good, but the people were wonderful.
They were
Yeah.
so sweet.
Super nice people, yeah.
And the
so we
cookie.
walked from the
Now-
convention center. We found a place close enough to walk, and it was very.
That's debatable.
That was. You said yeah. It's a 3-minute walk.
3-minute drive.
Just 3-minute drive.
Yeah.
Look, you got your steps in.
It was.
Trying to help you out. You've been sitting on your butt all day.
It was 11
Workshops and
degrees
stuff.
outside.
Okay, so let
Yeah,
the record
I
show
know.
I was not the only one who was complaining, right?
Natalie and Brianna
Because
whined the entire
no,
way.
no. We were all
It's
whining.
cold out. My ears are cold. My snot's freezing. I'm slipping.
I did not say that. We did not say that.
So I have a confession to make. So some of us, most of the crew went back. They walked. Myself, Nick, and Noah stuck around, and the owner of this restaurant came walking over. He said, "So Zach, how was your burrito?" And I'm like, "Oh, you remembered my name. That is so awesome." And I'm like, "What great customer service!" And I was all stoked about it. And as I'm putting my coat on, I looked down and I forgot that I had my name tag on from thing. And I was like, "Oh, you remember my name?" Nah, I was just wearing it. But he was still a sweetheart.
They were.
He's
They
very,
were
yeah.
a really cool couple.
Still a sweetheart.
So yeah,
That cookie.
Was so good.
yeah.
It's the best.
All
Especially
of
after
it.
the walk.
It was
Yeah.
worth the walk.
Agreed. It was
It
very
was.
worth the walk.
I will admit.
And then
On record.
On record.
on record.
Brianna's not going to say that.
So then
I don't know. She might.
for lunch today,
Oh yeah.
was it
Ooh, mama.
Q36?
39.
Q39 barbecue. Listen, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're doubting the Lord, go here.
If you're down on the Lord, is that what you said?
Doubting.
Oh, doubting the
Restore
Lord.
your faith.
Yeah.
Because
be delivered from your hunger and thirst.
So literally, you walk in there, right? It's a barbecue joint. I mean, it's a nicer barbecue joint. You know, it's not a dive, right? But the service, this homie comes up and he starts explaining the menu, and he gives a history of like, this is award-winning, like worldwide award-winning barbecue. Can I recommend the world-famous burn ends? And you know,
We're like,
I've
yes.
had some good burn ends in my life. This comes out, and I'm like, it looks good. It smells good. Mm-hmm. I cut, and they give you knives.
Butter knives.
butter knife.
You didn't need nothing. You could have cut that with a sponge.
Yeah.
It was so good.
With a sponge.
I'm telling you what, I took a bite of those burn ends and I saw God.
No.
I saw him. The heavens opened and he said, "This is how much I love you, son, because I've given you
It was
these burn ends."
he created those cows and it was good. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I was gonna speak in tongues, that would have been the time. That would have been the time.
was the time.
Nick
That,
started running the aisles. He got a tambourine and a flag out of nowhere.
well, it starts off with the sweet tea. I'm a sweet tea boy. I love it.
Oh, is it good?
And so that
have
starts,
that.
and then you get, but then the Angus,
The Angus.
it's,
beef?
it touches your tongue, and you're
I'm like, what did he get? Angus.
Imagine the McRib.
No. Oh my gosh. We
It's,
were at lunch
like
and
it-
Noah was like,
It's like that.
Only a lot
what did you
better.
say? You said something about can't beat a Mc. Or,
I was like, can't beat City Barbecue.
no, that's Bob
my
Stevens.
gosh.
Okay, Bob.
Listen,
Bob, if you're
Bob,
listening,
that was a
you
hot
guys
take
are
because
tainting the beauty
Okay,
of this barbecue.
I'm all jokes aside. That was the best barbecue.
it was very
okay,
good.
but I had the sausage and they do the
Yeah.
sausage in house. It was spicy. It was so good. It was better than the sausage I had. Where did we
At
get? It was-
Jack
yeah,
Stack?
yeah. Which I think the way they cut that is
Yeah.
a little controversial for me, but controversial. But this is like they filleted it.
now
They
here's-
filleted the sausage.
Yeah. Now here's my takeaway from the barbecue. 2 barbecues we went to. You go to City Barbecue, they give you like 4 or 5 different options for barbecue sauce. When you come to these places,
Yeah.
you get their barbecue sauce. There's no other options. It is what it is. But both of them were very good.
Correct.
It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Very,
pretty
very
much
good.
like Cane's.
Stop talking.
Cane's
Noah,
it's,
stop talking.
It's Cane's and Q39. You get their sauce.
I do not agree with that message.
Listen, people.
Your analogies
I-
are a little flat.
I love Noah. I love him to death, but there's times where I question his structural integrity in his mind, and this is one of those moments.
He needs to repent.
It was
Well,
good.
Still
it was
love you.
good.
But
That's-
for real, we're probably getting ready to wrap up. But I do want to say this, and on a little bit of a serious note. Maybe not specifically to worship, maybe not specifically to food, but what I've loved about this week is the time we have all got to spend together as a staff has been a game changer, I think. Like, we're all tight. We've all had really good relationships. And even Kevin being new to our staff, we've known Kevin from the district. We've had relationships with Kevin. But I'm telling you what, man, like, this is just for me, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're all going to go home and be like, I can't wait to not talk to Zach for a week. But regardless, it has been so cool the way that God has just brought us together. And even like, I love that we just got pizza and came back and hung out, because it was a moment for all of us to share and just fellowship together and just grow our relationships as not just as staff, but as friends. And that's been really, really cool. And I'm going to say this for all of us. Like, we want to thank Rob and the church and the board for allowing us to come and do this. It just shows that the church cares about its leaders. And so we just want to say thanks.
Yep, that's a good
Grazie,
good point.
grazie.
This has been great, and grateful for the board allowing us to do that, and the church. It has been good. God's doing some cool stuff. I'm excited. It's very good.
Take her home, Joe.
All right, so I guess you kind of have the full overview of M25 with Monday we did the full big things. Tuesday we did the workshops. Now we've given you the worship and also the food. And
get home tomorrow.
yeah, we do have to cut this off because we have a plane to catch in the morning. But there are opportunities coming up. And just as soon as Equip, which as you're listening to this, it'll be coming up on Saturday. It's a district event at PICNAS. There's an opportunity for you to kind of have a mini version of fellowshipping with some of your fellow district Nazarenes and to get equipped with some ways to do ministry that is available to both lay people and to clergy. And so take a look on the sconaz.org website to find out some more details. And if you can't find it, because I had difficulty finding it myself, email podcast@shepnaz.org and we'll make sure you get the right information on that. So we hope that this has been an encouragement and a challenge to you as you kind of listen to it over the past few days. And we're hoping that you're hearing the fire that we have to be personal evangelists, and we want you to catch that same kind of fire. You can check out everything that's going on at the church by going to shepnaz.org. Also, we encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Do all those likes, comments, and shares to help spread the word. For all the pastoral staff, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.